The allegations that have been made against Daystar TV have generated a great deal of excitement in the media and have prompted Christians to express grave worries. It is because of them that one of the most prominent Christian television networks has become hostile to critical journalism. The Roy Report TRR, a journalistic outlet that is well known for identifying moral and ethical issues within religious communities, is at the center of the dilemma. Over the course of multiple investigative reports, there has been a heated debate between TRR and Daystar. These stories allege that the network covered up sexual abuse that occurred within the family of its founders. In addition to being severe, the claims are surprising in their own right. The allegations were made by Jonathan Lamb, who had previously served as vice president of Daystar, and his wife Susie, that Joni Lamb, who is currently serving as president of Daystar, had overlooked and attempted to conceal the fact that a member of their family had sexually molested their daughter. All of these allegations have been categorically refuted by Daystar, who has replied by demanding that the statements be retracted and accusing TRR of conducting a campaign of smears. On the other hand is Christine N. Jones, the attorney for TRR, pointed out in a response letter that was meticulously worded, the requests made by the network did not address the primary issues. To date, Daystar has not presented any substantial evidence to refute the assertions. As an alternative, they have merely made broad denials and accusations that are devoid of any substance. People have been even more dubious as a result of this, and doubts have been raised regarding the responsibility and openness of Daystar's leadership because of it. The charges of abuse are only one aspect of the argument. There are others as well. This goes against everything that is true about journalism, press freedom, and the responsibility that Christian organizations have to promote the highest moral and ethical standards. When Daystar was made aware of the situation, they threatened legal action without presenting any evidence. As a result, this demonstrates a larger pattern of avoiding and repressing criticism, which is typical in organizations that hold a great deal of authority. TRR has remained consistent throughout all of its coverage, adhering to the facts that Jonathan and Susie Lamb have provided to them. Despite the fact that it was under a great deal of pressure, both legally and financially, the news organization remained committed to reporting the truth. This demonstrates how essential it is for independent journalism to hold powerful groups accountable. With this fight, it is not just about finding answers to allegations of abuse and cover-ups, it is also about how crucial it is for Christians to communicate with each other in an honest and open manner. The way in which the story unfolds serves as a depressing reminder of how vulnerable individuals may be in situations when they claim to be the guardians of divine values. Additionally, it acts as a warning, exhorting people of all faiths to remain vigilant and to demand that those in positions of authority provide them with justice, responsibility, and the truth. The conclusion of this tale will have significant repercussions for a great number of individuals, not just the Lamb family and Daystar. Additionally, it will have a significant impact on Christian television, as well as the struggle for truth in a world that is growing increasingly ideologically divided. The Roy Report TRR received a letter from Daystar's attorney 4 days after our initial report regarding allegations of sexual assault and cover-ups at Daystar TV. Both allegations were made. An accusation of spreading a smear campaign was made against TRR and myself in the letter, and we were asked to retract our statements. Both TRR and our attorney, Christine N. Jones, who is also a member of the board of directors of TRR, have investigated the demand letter that Daystar has submitted. The letter that John sent in response demonstrates that Daystar did not demonstrate that any of TRR's reporting was incorrect. Consequently, TRR will not comply with Daystar's request for retractions because of this reasoning. The letter from DAYSTAR, which was 10 pages long, stated that our initial article, which was published on November 20th, 2024, contained statements that were not true regarding the sexual assault that occurred to the daughter of Jonathan and Susie Lamb. The entire premise is a total and utter fabrication, as was made abundantly obvious in the initial letter, and it is founded on fabricated allegations of sexual abuse and a purported cover-up. For this reason, the letter that was written by attorney Michael D. Anderson states that all of the assertions that were made by TRR should be retracted immediately. According to the letter, there are a total of 28 things in the story that are not accurate. To give just one example, the letter does not agree with the heading of the article, which reads, "Former DAYSTAR executive and wife accused Joni Lamb of covering up daughter's sexual abuse." The statement accuses Joni Lamb of covering up the sexual abuse of Jonathan and Susie Lamb's daughter, which is absolutely false, according to this letter, which simply states that the assertion is false. This is not what she did at all. In addition, there are issues with a follow-up article that was published in TRR on November 21st, 2024, and was titled "Susie Lamb Says She Was Pressured to Hide Sexual Assault." Throughout the letter, it is stated that this assertion is completely outrageous. Under no circumstances was Susie compelled to conceal the fact that she had been subjected to sexual abuse at DAYSTAR. Similar to the article that was published on November 20th, the primary concept of the letter that was created for the article that was published on November 21st is a total fabrication that is founded on fabricated allegations of sexual abuse and a purported cover-up. In light of this, each and every word that TRR publishes ought to be retracted immediately. The challenge with the letter written by DAYSTAR is that it does not provide any evidence to support its assertion that the information that was released by TRR is not true. In point of fact, Jones asserts in our response letter that stating the truth is always a defense against a claim of defamation filed against you. Simply asserting that the assertion is incorrect is not sufficient on its own. Jones makes the observation that every plaintiff in every libel case will say in court that they think the statements that were published are false. If this were the only condition, then anyone could circumvent it by filing a lawsuit for libel and claiming that they believe the defendant's statements to be false. Dallas Morning News Company v. Garcia. As another point of interest, Jones contends that the defense of truth can be utilized against news organizations in the event that they accurately record claims made by a third party regarding a public issue. In other words, if the allegedly false claims were made by a third person and subsequently reported by TRR, DAYSTAR is required to fulfill two requirements. First, it must demonstrate that the remarks were untrue. Second, it must demonstrate that TRR misreported the allegations based on what the third party told them. It was said by DAYSTAR that the title of our initial article, which was "Former DAYSTAR Executive and Wife Accused Joni Lamb of Covering Up Daughter's Sexual Abuse," was not only inaccurate but also misleading. Jones makes a reaction to this by writing, "This is not false according to Jonathan Lamb, a former executive of DAYSTAR, and his wife Susie Lamb. Joni Lamb covered the information that their daughter had been sexually molested." Susie Lamb is also a spokesperson for Jonathan Lamb. Despite what you have stated, this statement does not directly and incorrectly accuse Joni Lamb of covering up the sexual abuse that occurred to the daughter of Jonathan and Susie Lamb during the time period in question. The addition of this phrasing, on the other hand, demonstrates that TRR accurately recorded a claim that was made by a third party regarding a public problem. Within its letter, DAYSTAR commits several errors similar to this one. TRR is accused of lying in the letter when they stated, when her husband, then Director of Operations Jonathan Lamb, told his parents about it, they buried the assault. This statement is alleged to have been made by Trrr Jones, on the other hand, claims that the complete passage from the story is as follows: but when her husband, Jonathan Lamb, who was director of operations at the time, told his parents about it, they buried the assault. This statement is a factual representation of what Jonathan and Susie Lamb said regarding a significant public problem, as stated in the letter that Jones sent in response to the statement.